we'll see what happens come draft time. But speaking of draft time, that's pretty much all I'm holding on to right now because the Steelers are having one of the worst off seasons of my life. Really, this has been a rough week.
So, what? Running back with Juju, what happened?
Man, so I did my free agency live stream the other day, and then not 10 minutes after that, I see that the Steelers are allowing Steven Nelson to seek a trade. And immediately I'm like, if this is to free up cap space to bring back Juju, I'm going to be irate.
I saw you tweeting about that. That's a good point, man. I mean, look, I'm with you, bro, because I yell about similar things with the 49ers. You know, my team paid a kicker who held out after he was franchise tagged and then extended him.
They did.
That's not good business. You know, like that, like that's like it doesn't make sense. So I hear you. Nelson's a cornerback. That's a premium position. You already have two receivers. You have James Washington too, which nobody's ever really thinking about anymore.
Nobody pays attention to James Washington at all, and he's arguably got the best hands on the team.
And so you're talking about next year you could have ran Chase, Washington, and Deontay. You know, and if you want to run it back with Ben, that's fine. Whatever, that's fine. You're going to be fine because your defense is going to be good. You know, Dupree's not there anymore, but yeah, that's curious, man. That really, really is curious. I really don't understand that from a straight just roster construction. And what are you valuing at this point? Like, I understand look, we all know the Steelers draft wide receivers like nobody's business. Every time, pretty much that they draft anybody, they end up being great. Whether that's with them or they unlock it somewhere else, it doesn't matter. You guys have an eye for wide receivers always, right? But to pay him again in 1 year, and now Juju's using this year as a look. That's it. I'm gonna bet on myself, and next year when the cap goes right back up, I'm gonna go see what's out there. So, I mean, I get it in that regard, but for my money with you guys, I would have let him walk. I really would have, man. Like, you know, especially if he was gonna take a 1 year deal, I would have let him walk. Honestly,
you're preaching to the choir here, mate. I mean, I wouldn't have brought him back either. But now, you look at what they've lost already. I mean, you mentioned Bud Dupree. They weren't going to be able to afford him anyway. It was
right.
Now, Ben did miraculous stuff with his contract, pretty much ripping up his old deal and saying, I'll play for $14 million. That's fine. He didn't have to do that. He could have very easily said, no, I'm playing on my contract. Either you can deal with it or trade me. I don't care. He did more than he had to do. That said, though, they were already so far over the cap that contract only got them so far. They couldn't afford to bring back Bud Dupree. You know, he was always going to get a big deal on the open market. And, I mean, he deserves it. It's just a matter of the cap situation that Pittsburgh's in. Now, Mike Hilton, best nickel cornerback in football for my money. They were always going to let him go because they felt fine about Cameron Sutton because when Mike Hilton was injured last year, Cam Sutton played phenomenal in that nickel spot. He's younger, he's cheaper, that made sense. The fact that he goes to Cincinnati, though, that hurts because now you got to face him twice a year. And then not bringing back Tyson Alualu, I think, is an underrated loss because he played phenomenal on the inside of the defensive line last year, had his best season of his career at age 33. He goes back to Jacksonville, the team that drafted him. So, and then they cut Vince Williams. I mean, he's 33, $5 million in cap freed up. They feel confident about Robert Spillane next to Devin Bush. I'm okay with that. You know, you still look at that defense. They got the best edge rusher in the game in T.J. Watt. They still got Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt, both of which are phenomenal. Devin Bush, phenomenal young middle linebacker. Best safety in the game in Mika Fitzpatrick, and a really good cornerback in Joe Hayden. It's just a matter of, okay, they really need to hit this draft with getting a corner. They need to get a left tackle. They need to get a center. And they need to get a running back. Those are four things. If you get all those at least good enough, they're still going to be a playoff team. It's just a matter of, all right, it's not going to be as good as last year. That's why it was so important to win last year, because they knew, all right, we're going to be in cap hell and we're going to lose a lot of guys.
My question to you is, would you lose it if they went first round running back?
No, I want them to go. If Travis Etienne is available at 24, take Travis Etienne. Take Travis Etienne because he has all the potential in the world to be Alvin Kamara 2.0. I would be totally fine with that because this is a very deep offensive line class as well. So you can get a guy like a Dylan Radness from North Dakota State. You can get a guy like Drake Jackson from Kentucky at center in the third or fourth round. Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater, who we saw in Mobile and just really stole the show when we were down there.
I think when you say Miners, like Brad Graham's is gonna burst through the wall, and just be like, "Oh yeah,"
like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, the Kool.
So no, they have. It's just a matter of what order they want to go. Now, if they want to take a guy, because at 24, all the big name left tackles are going to go. You know, Siwa's probably going to go to Cincinnati. Darisaw and Rashawn Slater are going to be gone in the first 15 to 16 picks. So that's going to leave them guys, you know, if Elijah Vera Tucker from Auburn's there, if Sam Cosme's there, they got to really weigh their options. You know, do we want to go with this guy or do we want to get a guy like Travis Etienne if he's there and really just give us a much better option than anything that they have now at running back? And then they can still get, Liam Eichenberg could be available from Notre Dame at left tackle later on in the second round, right around where they pick. So they've got options. It's just a matter of, when they want to take them, because the benefit that the Steelers have is that this is a very deep offensive line class and it's a very deep defensive back class. So they can wait till, rounds 2 through 4 to take care of all those needs in any order that they choose. And I think that they'll be able to fill that depth in a good way, mostly because, one, their offense is full of really good skill position guys. They only need to really work on. They've just brought back B.J. Finney, who has been in this system multiple times. I think this is his third stint with Pittsburgh, and he's played center in the offense. So if they really wanted to, they could start him at center and then just draft a left tackle and go DB heavy. There's a lot of things that they can do. I get that, me included, a lot of Steelers fans were freaking out about everything going on. But when you break it down, they're not in too much trouble, and a lot of it can be fixed throughout the draft. So after April, I think a lot of their problems are going to be solved. It's just a matter of, all right, are we going to get a quarterback for the future? Because I tweeted out earlier today, hey, if we're going to trade Steven Nelson anyway, kill two birds with one stone, trade him for Sam Darnold. Get a guy that we can have for the future.